The country of Egypt is old enough to have an ancient history. The great pharaohs of Egypt began to rule the country about 3,000 years before Jesus was born. They built the pyramids, which served as graves and contained many of the pharaoh's possessions. The Bible tells us that the Israelites originally moved to Egypt when the last of the great pharaohs ruled. Joseph was the person responsible for bringing the Hebrew people to Egypt. He went to Egypt because his brothers sold him as a slave. They were jealous of him. Instead of rebelling at what happened to him, Joseph worked as hard as he could for the Pharaoh after he came to Egypt. Eventually, the Pharaoh began to trust Joseph. In appreciation, the Pharaoh allowed Joseph to bring the Hebrew people to Egypt so that they could make a living. The Hebrew people eventually became paid servants or slaves. The Nile River had a great effect on Egypt. Without it, the country would have been a desert. Nothing would have grown without the Nile. Each year when the river flooded, its waters spread across the land and made farming possible. Besides supplying water for farming, the Nile River also was a highway for the people. Since much of the country was desert, almost everyone lived along the river and traveled up and down the river by boat. In ancient times, the Egyptians and Israelites lived very simply. Most families lived in small villages along the Nile River. Some people farmed. Others raised animals like goats and sheep. The Egyptians and Israelites had similar lives in many ways, but there was a distinct difference in their belief in God. The Israelites believed in and worshiped the true God. The ancient Egyptians didn't worship the true and living God, but rather many gods who looked like men and animals. They believed they would continue to live after death in a place that was like earth. That is why the pharaohs built the pyramids as places to be buried. The pyramids contained temples and rooms for everything the Egyptians thought they would need for life after death. The country of Egypt was a very advanced society. In the areas of art, sculpture, poetry, writing, and engineering, they were far ahead of the other societies of people that lived during the same time.